Welcome to Agents of Change Management, and our goal today is to share with you how very large school districts, specifically in Florida, have adopted and implemented Canvas, and hopefully you will leave with some ideas that you can bring back to your own districts. So who do we have here today? We have Broward County and Orange County in Florida. We've got Broward in the audience somewhere in the back. We have Orange County in the audience everywhere. And let me just give you a little bit of background on both of these districts. Broward County is the largest K-12 school district using Canvas. Second largest in Florida, sixth largest in the nation, with nearly 71,000 students. Additionally, they have 1,000 one-to-one classrooms, and we're located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in case you were wondering. And Orange County are wearing the orange shirts today. You'll see they're great, share the awesome program that you'll hear about. They are the sixth largest school district in Florida, the 10th largest in the nation, 203,000 students, and they have a really unique launch ed program for their one-to-one initiative, and I'm sure you'll hear about that, where they have over 80,000 devices in their schools, and they're based out of Orlando, Florida. And one thing that's unique to these two large school districts is that they have a number of on-site Canvas resources that work day in, day out directly with the school district. My position and Katie's position are dedicated program managers, so we just focus on Canvas. We also have Jeremy and Chase, who are our principal implementation consultants on site. We have Canvas consultants like Michelle and a number of other folks that work at the districts helping with teacher trainings and adoption, and also a number of contract trainer days that help to make this program such a success. When I look at this panel, I think one of the reasons that it has been so successful in both of these districts is because everyone sitting here is passionate about educational technology, and they love to share that passion with others. So I love this quote: the only way to do great work is to love what you do, and we do. We love having teachers have an online platform for learning, and students have 24/7 access to technology. And I'm going to start with introductions myself. I'm Rachel Lee. I'm the dedicated program manager from Instructure, working in Broward County, Florida. And I'll turn some time to my Canvas colleagues to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Michelle Latke, and I am a Canvas consultant for Orange County Public Schools. And I specifically work with Orange County Virtual Schools.
Hi, I'm Katie Morgan. I'm the dedicated program manager working in Orange County Public Schools right now.
I'm Jeremy Perkins. I help with technical integrations, so helping SISs talk to each other and all that kind of stuff.
And our Master of Ceremonies is Dominic Church, and he's going to take over for the rest of the presentation, and he can introduce himself.
Thank you. My name is Dominic Church. I am the coordinator of instructional materials in Broward County and also the Canvas administrator for our Office of Academics. And my primary qualification for being here today is that I can read off of the screen. So, give me that for at least a little bit. I would like to then turn the floor over to my colleagues here from Broward and from Orange County.
Good afternoon. My name is on. Hi. Okay, sorry. Hi. My name is Dana Rubenstein with Broward County. I am an instructional technology specialist, and I support teachers in the classroom as well as facilitate professional development.
Hi, my name is LoriAyn Stickler. I am the project manager for technology and instruction in Broward County.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Daryl Diamond. I'm the director of innovative learning for Broward County.
Hi, my name is Allison Kibbe. I am the coordinator for digital curriculum in Orange County.
My name is Marcy Wheeler. I'm the coordinator for instructional curriculum systems for Orange County, which has got a name change, so I have to really think about it.
And I'm Clint Moles. I'm the coordinator for instructional technology and library media for Orange County Public Schools.
All right, with that, we're going to jump right into our questions. First question for the panel. What processes and criteria should school districts utilize to best identify or analyze LMS needs?
So I'll jump in first. I want to put this into some kind of a context. Broward County Public Schools was fortunate enough a 2 years ago to put forth an $800 million general obligation bond, of which $80 million was going to go for instructional technology, for technology, period. So as a district, we were looking at, if all of these devices are going to be going into schools, what are we doing to support the teachers and the students and the parents on utilizing those devices? So the game plan was to come down to a 3.5 to 1 student to device ratio, and we're very pleased to announce that we've actually come down in most cases below a 2.5 to 1. So the general obligation bond has really done what it was designed to do. So our job now was to make certain that people knew what to do with those devices, had content and really robust instructional materials to use. So as a district, we had Blackboard as a learning management system. We had Desire to Learn as a learning management system, Schoology. So we decided that we were really going to streamline down to one learning management system that professional development, teaching and learning, and our post-secondary institution could actually utilize, therefore saving some money along the way. One of the things, I have like 5 different points that I want to bring out about the whole process that we went through. The first being that we reached out to an outside group called Gartner, and we asked them to help us along this journey because this was going to be a decision that we wanted to live with for many, many years to come so that we could bypass that obstacle of when is this going to go away. You know, most of the time everybody sees these new innovations as a 1 to 2, maybe 3-year cycle, and something new comes in and takes over. We really wanted to make this become embedded into the framework and fabric of what we do as a district. So Gartner helped us by going out to schools and to actually do some interviews with our key stakeholders, teachers, students, and in some instances, I think they even got to speak to some parents. And they helped design for us different images of our teachers, their different states in which they were ready to accept the technology. And from that, if we could put up the 360-degree teaching with technology, they helped us carve out this infographic. And really what it aligns to, in Broward we use Marzano as our observation and evaluation tool, and we took the wording from Marzano. As you can see, we've got orchestrating, we've got inspiring, and we've got learning, which are key components of the Marzano model. And we stepped back and said, as a teacher, how can I improve teaching and learning through technology? And this really is one of our pillars. And this came out of all of the upfront work that we did before we even went forward with an RFI. So the second step that I'd like to talk to you about is the RFI process. This was something very, very new in our district. We usually did the basic RFP, but what we were really trying to find out is what's out there that we might not even know about. And so we went through the RFI process. We got about 70 plus different responses. And again, Gartner helped us to identify the criteria that we were going to live and die by, and then identify which of the submissions actually aligned best to those criteria. So the 70 plus was whittled down to about 14, 15, and from those 14, 15 whittled down to 7, and then finally down to the top 3, of which Canvas was 1, It's Learning was the other, and Schoology was the 3rd. So then what we decided to do, again, was to get our stakeholders involved, because we did not want this to be a top-down decision. We didn't want it to be, a lot of our people, we were a Schoology house for our K-12, so if Schoology was not going to be the one that was going to come along again, then we really wanted people to have a voice in this so that nobody said we made this switch, but that we all agreed to this switch instead. So what we ended up doing was daytime presentations. Each of the vendors, the 3 vendors, had a day to present to key district staff, key administrators at school sites, and our instructional staff, both at the school and at the district. And there they were given the entire day to do this presentation. We also implemented evening abilities for our teachers, our students, and our parents to come, not only get a presentation, but then to actually open up a computer, sit down, and actually hit some keys and to see what can be done. And this was, all 3 vendors were there that night, and we actually rotated based upon the role that each person identified themselves. Remember, I told you about the roles that Gartner was able to help us come up with from all of the different interviews that they had done.
So this is hard to say to your boss, but Daryl, you have 0 seconds left for points 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to give you an extra minute, though.
Okay, the point being that our RFI process really was a great process. The other things that we implemented were the fact that we insisted on having staff on site with us. We needed to know that the support was there. We're too busy doing our daily work to be busy also worrying about the support and the change management that needed to take place. So those are the 3 key points that I'd like you to be able to go away from this with. I could keep on talking, but I know I can't.
We know. Our second question today. Before classroom learning can occur, technical items must be configured. What are the most important items for a district to configure so that the teaching and learning experience is seamless?
So I can talk to this one a little bit. If you are, right, and this is not just for big districts, but one of the biggest things that you've got to make sure is set up and ready to go is that your IDs for your courses, are accurate. You guys hear me? Hello? It's me. Do you want this? Yeah, it was on. All right. So before learning can really occur, one of the best things that you can do is not interrupt your teacher's learning experience, right? You don't want to be pushing new courses with new IDs that might override what they were currently working in. And one thing that we made sure to do at Orange County Public Schools was to ensure that every teacher had at least one sandbox that they could participate in, build in, play in during trainings and so on, without needing to stress about that they were going to mess up their actual courses. And by doing that, we had some flexibility to make sure that we got their SIS imports the way we wanted. So we needed to make sure that the IDs that we were dealing with and passing were the same IDs that were going to be used by other systems. So that way, if system to system needed to talk to each other, we wouldn't have to revise that partway through the school year. We wanted to make sure that the IDs, especially that we were using, were going to be consistent and available, so we didn't disrupt that learning. Another thing that is essential to make sure that you have ready is, especially before you start training, is your LTI tools. Obviously, not all LTI tools will be in place before training occurs. But if you are planning on leveraging several big ones, we do recommend, or I recommend, that you have those already set up, because as you go through training with your teachers, they're going to ask, well, how do I use this tool? And if you can already have that configured and already have some documentation or instruction on how to use those tools, they're going to have a much better experience and a higher adoption rate as they start to go and use Canvas.
Does anybody else have any other things to add as far as the technical implementation? No? Then we will move on. What contributing factors led to a successful implementation and adoption of Canvas?
I'll take that one.
Hi, so Dana and I are going to speak to this question. I'm going to cover kind of the high level, and Dana's going to give you the nitty-gritty of the professional development. So really, we are looking at, in Broward, there were 2 main factors that we consider to make this implementation successful. The first being communication, and the second, professional development. Now, in Broward, we were a little bit unique, I believe, in regard to what Orange County has done, because our teachers and students are automatically rostered into Canvas, regardless of whether they've attended Canvas training or not. So on the communication side, first thing that we do that I think is a really big win for us, and when I came into this position, I just came into this, it was already established, is we have a digital projects team meeting that happens weekly. So the participants in this project team meeting, we have the INT staff. For the technical side, we have academics, and then we also have our vendor partners. And really that weekly meeting is set so for us to discuss maybe problems that are going on, successes that are happening, possibly look at different roadblocks that may be in the way, and how can we circumvent this so that the teaching and learning is not halted in Broward because of any technological issues. And that's a big win. That would be a big suggestion for you. Another, in regards to communication, we send out Microsoft email notifications, and teachers have contributed and begun and participant in Yammer groups. We have the pivot memos that go out to principals. So any new initiative that comes about, first we send the pivot memo so the principal knows about it, and then we have the ability to send out the email notifications, and we also place we have a monthly newsletter that we put out, and you can visit that. You can see that. It's a Canvas newsletter. It's at innovativelearning.browardschools.com. It's out there for the entire district to see. That's published monthly. Daryl has been really great about attending principal meetings and the principal think tank for our digital schools, our one-to-one application schools. The next thing would be we really use the Canvas global announcements. That's a great way to get right to your Canvas users, your teachers that are, in the thick of it. And we are currently working to build our Twitter presence. You can tweet us at BCPS Innovates. We would love to have some action there. We've talked about this week about things we've learned here, how we can up our presence there. So now the professional development. I have basically 3 points I'm going to make, and then Dana is going to really elaborate on it. So firstly, for professional development, we really did a train-the-trainer type model with our Canvas contract trainers. So when the Canvas contract trainers came on site, our staff, they supported the Canvas trainers. So they were learning while on the jobs, training teachers. So our people supported the Canvas trainers up until, I think, the close of first semester. Nobody from our department actually led a training until then. We worked on personalizing the training to meet the stakeholder needs, and Dana's gonna talk a lot about that. And then the second thing is we are implementing the Broward Canvassador program. So the Broward Canvassador program has 2 different tiers. One side is you can become a Broward Canvas trainer, and the other side is you can become a Broward content creator. So Daryl has been kind enough to help us with funding. So on the content side of things, I'm getting ready to roll this out probably like 3rd week in August. So you, as a teacher, if you have some Canvas modules that you think are great, you can actually apply and submit your modules to the district. We will vet them for certain criteria. Academics will hopefully vet them for certain criteria as well. Once your module is deemed for rigor and relevance, you will be able to have your module posted in the Canvas Commons under your name. I'm hoping that teachers will then say, hey, this teacher that teaches 3rd grade at Eagle Point Elementary, she's really great on Canvas as well as content knowledge. You need to find her modules. That's the idea, is we're trying to promote the classroom teacher not only getting a stipend, but also digital badges, the notoriety of let's practice your craft, let's share who you are and how amazing you are within the Canvas community. The second side is we've had this last summer we looked and we found our analytics, and we found that we had some Canvas users who were really our high users. We invited those teachers to come and support our trainings. Our goal is they support the trainings like we did with the Canvas content, the Canvas contract trainers, thank you. So we want them to support for 24 hours. They will co-facilitate for 24 hours, and then hopefully by summer 2018, they will actually be leading Canvas training at their school site.
So we definitely employ talkers in Broward County.
I'm sorry, I tried.
Dana will give you an extra minute.
I'm sorry.
One of the things that Broward is so proud of is trying to personalize professional development for all of our teachers and administrators and staff. We offered many different models of professional development. We had a 2-day Canvas course where teachers were face-to-face and hands-on learning, where they experienced something as a student first and then went into their sandbox and learned how to do it as a teacher. We try to follow the I do, we do, you do model in face-to-face training so that they can go through those steps together. We've also had sessions after school where we have taken our 2-day course and chunked it into 4 afternoon sessions. We've offered Saturday sessions where one Saturday and then the following week we've had staff come in and train some teachers. We've even had Canvas for administrators where we spend half the day on Canvas and half the day on the technology integration matrix, which we're going to get to in a little bit. We've done 1-hour overviews at every high school in the district, which was just a taste of what Canvas can do, but what was great about that is that it inspired a lot of teachers to dig into Canvas on their own, plus to sign up for our professional development and attend one of our trainings. We've had classroom visits where I'm one of 7 instructional facilitators where we visit the schools and we have hands-on mentoring and coaching with teachers. We've gone out to schools all the time and helped all of our teachers dig deep into Canvas. Broward also bought the highest level of support. So in addition to having Rachel and Chase, we have the 24/7 help line where we can call all times of the night, and I call all the time. They're very wonderful. We direct teachers to the Canvas guides. We also have unlimited webinars. So one of the first questions our teachers ask at training is, how long are we going to have this? And Broward purchased it for 5 years. As soon as teachers know that investing their time and effort for an application that we're going to have for 5 years, they get so excited. And with so many different opportunities to personalize their learning, they get even more excited. So I'm not sure, I think I went past my minute, but.
You did. But it was so good.
One more option that our teachers have is the online course that we've developed called Teach 360. And this is a course where teachers can take completely on their own. It's 10 modules. They submit assignments. It's over about a 3-month span, and they earn in-service points. And so if they're not able to come to a face-to-face training, they have that online opportunity as well.
So what marketing strategies have you used to build excitement for Canvas?
So in large districts where things change often, it's really important to make sure that we get teachers excited about new things. So when Canvas came along, we thought it would be really, really important to come up with a way to get teachers hyped up about this because we were so excited about it. And we knew that it was going to be a game changer for us. So I'm not exactly sure who Share the Awesome can be credited to, but I think it's kind of like a brainchild of many people in OCPS, including Katie and Michelle and Jeremy. But basically, we've created the Share the Awesome campaign with our t-shirts. We've got a panda and an orange. We're Orange County Public Schools. And we wanted Canvas to almost be a recognizable brand within our district. So we have hashtag OCPS Canvas, and we encourage our trainer consultants to tweet. They're so busy teaching and learning that, we're having a harder time with that. But the tweets that we do get are awesome. There are a lot of really good feedback from teachers about, I had so much fun learning this. So Share the Awesome is all about Canvas. What are the amazing things you can do with this program that you weren't able to do before because we didn't have these tools? We released Canvas to our teachers in January, kind of like on the down low, but we had some teachers who knew about it and they were like, oh yeah, I'm using this today. So they set up their classes and we were tracking analytics and kind of figuring out hey, what do we have going on here? So we identified some early adopters and we went and talked to them. We were like, why do you like Canvas? Why are you using it? Why did you jump on the bandwagon? And I'm going to let Marcy talk about that.
So the nice thing is we had different teachers at several different sites that we found were our early adopters, and we went out and we videotaped them, and they were sharing all the things that they had been doing. And the most awesome part of it was the fact that they were so excited. It's really difficult to get buy-in from us. But it's really easy when you have someone out in the classroom using it and sharing what they've done. So every single one of them was the first one to say, if you need anything, if you need me to lead something, if you need me to speak at anything, they were just so willing to do that. So it was a great opportunity to not only get that video and then push those out. So we've had 6. We found 6 of our teachers that have been using it to a very high level, and we got their videos, and we've been releasing them once a week. And then Allison continued to get people back to those. So it was a really good experience to get out there and see them.
And I'll share a little bit more about that. So we tweet. We're at Digital OCPS on Twitter. Go ahead and follow us. We tweet about Canvas every Monday. We kind of have several things that we tweet about, and so we focus on Canvas on Mondays. And that's some of our craziest Twitter days. I get retweets and notifications all day long. Thank you, phone battery. But we start by sharing the videos on Twitter. We tag a bunch of people in them. We tag schools in them. And then we also link them on our single sign-on platform, which is ClassLink. We call it Launchpad. And so our teachers are inundated with these videos. We are you are going to see these, share the awesome videos.
Awesome. And that was with 1 minute and 15 seconds to spare.
Oh, wait, I forgot one thing. I realized I skipped our resource page. So we wanted to make sure that our teachers were ready to go and that they had tons of access to materials to learn. So we have the help page. We also purchased the highest level of support. So we've got the unlimited webinars. We've got 24/7, the phone line, helpline. So we created this resource page for teachers. On that, we actually have our videos, and all of the things that our teachers talked about in those videos are linked. So if a teacher was like, oh my gosh, I love SpeedGrader, we link to tutorials in the Canvas community to SpeedGrader, so that rather than them having to go out and go to Google or go to the Canvas community, it's right there, and it kind of eliminates that barrier of oh, now I gotta go find this information. No, we put it right there for you. We also created a Canvas poster that we are putting in all of our classrooms, and it basically just has the 4 different ways that you can get support from Canvas. So it has the helpline number and why you should call the helpline number. It has the chat and when that would be advantageous for you to use, and all the other models of support as well.
Awesome. Of course, Daryl.
You mentioned single sign-on, and I think that this is really, really important to have that one-stop shop for your teachers to go to, and no back doors. Everybody just goes right to our landing. We call it the launch pad. So when they go there, Canvas is right there for them to click on. I think that's really important.
All right, our next question. How can tying Canvas to your instructional framework help create a meaningful rollout and implementation?
Michelle, are you starting with this? Or do you want Clint to start?
Well, we're calling to Tim the instructional framework. You can talk, Clint. I didn't realize that. Jump into it.
Yes. Okay, so for those of y'all that aren't familiar with the technology integration matrix, it's a way to look at technology usage in the schools. It was developed from the University of South Florida, and lots of people across the state, and found it very effective. But one of the key things in getting to the right on the matrix, which you start out with, of course, go blank. You start out with entry, and then adoption, adaptation, infusion, and transformation in technology integration in different characteristics. And the more choice students have, and the more authentic experience that they have, the further to the right a given lesson is going to fall on the matrix. And so Canvas, by its flexibility of the platform, really allows for teachers to open those doors to students and give them that ability to, within the platform, explore and connect to different tools, and even if it's just simple as working in a G Suite platform, a doc, or working that way, or the collaborating through discussion boards. There's numerous different ways that Canvas can be leveraged to push lessons further to the right on the matrix. I keep looking back, it's my left, it's your right. And that's really the goal, is to get lessons beyond adaptation level and get them into infusion and transformation. Now, that's not something that happens every day, but it's something that lessons should build to regularly. Because if you've spent all the millage and bond and all the different monies that have been spent on technology in your school, and you're teaching at entry level every day, we should have stuck with pencils and paper. And so that's really the key. We want to see lessons pushing this way. We want to see this deeper integration of technology, and Canvas really gives teachers that leg up on how to do it, because it already puts them in that environment with all the tools at their fingertips.
I wanted to speak really quick to something really awesome that our Canvas team did for us. So the technology integration matrix in our district is like a non-negotiable. It's what we use to measure the depth of technology integration in our schools and kind of get a pulse for what do our teachers need so that our students can continue to succeed. So what they did for us is they pretty much made us a custom technology integration matrix that talks specifically about the Canvas features and how those can take us to deeper levels of technology integration in our schools. And I'm going to let Michelle kind of fill in the rest of those pieces.
If I could just say one thing first. I do this often, I'm sorry. The other part of the matrix that's really great, if you take a look at the different learning environments that are there, it opens up for teachers the knowledge that they can disperse the information in multiple different ways. It doesn't have to always be one to many. So that's the vertical axis of this.
So one of the things that we feel is important when we look at rolling out Canvas is that teachers and students are going to feel more connected to the tool if it's connected to a school's instructional framework or their technology framework. So in Orange County, they use both the Marzano framework and they also use TIM. So we worked together with the district to understand what the most important components of those frameworks were for them in the upcoming year. And for Marzano, we collaborated to come up with, I think, 5 or 6 things to focus on that tied into the Marzano framework and also were related to things people could do in Canvas. So it made it feel connected to things that people were already doing. And then as Clint and Allison talked about, we also we're able to look at the technology integration matrix and map out exactly how Canvas fit into each aspect of the grid. And so the idea was that TIM is something that teachers are already familiar with, Canvas is new, so let's connect that prior knowledge that they have to this new tool and help them understand why Canvas is going to help them get where they need to be, both in their technology integration and in their instruction.
And since I'm the moderator, I'm going to add some things on as well. I coordinate our TIM Observer and Coaching program in Broward County. And for us, the whole idea is to be able to transform the learning experience in the classroom. And we have as a couple of our pillars, we already mentioned the Teach 360 for our teachers to be able to shift their practices. We are hardcore about personalized learning for our students. And the TIM really helps us to connect the teaching experience to the learning experience and to diversify those experiences to make it a lot more meaningful for students. So by having teachers aspire to get further to the right on the matrix and do some of these higher level technology integration pieces, we're really seeing shifts in the entire learning environment. It's not just replacing the paper and pencil with a computer. It's starting to do a lot more dynamic things. And we're seeing that spread organically, which is pretty cool. We've got people out in the schools that have been trained in TIM as far as being observers and coaches, and they're coaching teachers, and we're seeing like just awesome things happening across the board. And Canvas has really been fundamental for them to be able to implement those. It's coming back this way, apparently.
And we wanted to show you guys. We think it's very impactful and very powerful. So we're going to show you one of the Share the Awesome videos. I think it'll get you as excited as it got us.
Okay, I am Jocelyn Stewart. I teach at Robbinswood Middle School. I teach digital information technology, information and communication technology 1 and 2. I started using Canvas because it makes my life so much easier teaching 3 preps. It allows me to keep the students engaged because my students are at different levels. So some move faster than others. And with Canvas, I'm able to keep them engaged. Even when they're finished with their lesson, they can move on because of the way Canvas is set up. And then also grading. I cannot explain grading. It just made my life a lot easier on that and keeping up with the grades and giving the feedback to the students. Well, we had the speed grader. I don't know if you've ever tried to grade databases, like 100 of them at one time, but the speed grader and the rubrics that are there, I loved it because it allowed me to grade. It downloaded everything for me. It automatically attached the student names to their files. I didn't have to tell the kids to do that. It put it all in one zip file, and then I was able to open it up, and then I was able to grade using the rubric inside of Canvas. So once I got that done, I was then able to export the grades and import them in the progress book. So that really made my life easier. So I'm not just typing grades in on Canvas and then going back and typing them into progress book. I just exported them and put them right in. That part was a matter of 5 to 10 minutes, and I was done with at least 100 students. That's 4 different classes. Perfect. But I still have more. And on top of the grading, Canvas allows you to set your units up into modules. And with the modules, as I mentioned earlier, the student might have different students that move at different paces. It allows you to lock a module until the student has completed the first module. And that really helps me a lot because I have a group of students that move a lot faster and they're like, well, what do I do next? Well, with Canvas, once I put them on, of course, I still do my lecture, I have my interaction with the kids, but it allows them to finish that module, learn that content or that skill, and then move right into the next. So they have no downtime. They are actually learning from bell to bell. And to me, that's marvelous. Well, in training, they asked us to add an image. The rose is the sandbox, so that's my practice area. So the rose represents me. I'm a rose. No. And then I've done the ICT2 class. I just wanted to make it visible for the students so that when they go in, they know what class they're going into. So I just chose something simple for them and colorful that would attract their attention.
Thank you, Orange County, for sharing the awesome. Now the thing that everybody's been waiting for. Yes, absolutely.
These videos on our Twitter, they are all on YouTube. We did them out in the past few weeks, so go watch them all, and I can send another tweet today. Send you the playlist. I can send you the playlist.
All right, we don't have a slide that says questions, but now's the time for questions. So if you have any, feel free to share. And let's get a microphone back to our question askers.
I'll be really loud. So it's 2 parts. If you go back in time, what's the one thing you would do differently? And then what's the one thing that you're, oh my God, thank God we did it this way?
All right, so one thing we would do differently and one thing that we are just celebrating as a huge success.
I can take that. So one thing that we would do differently, we actually did differently just a few weeks ago in our training. When we started our Canvas training in August of 2016, we had K through 12 in the same room, and we realized that it wasn't a great idea. It wasn't, right? So what we did this summer is we actually had an elementary training site and a secondary training site, and that went extremely well because you need to bond with your coworkers, right? In elementary, we bond really well together. Secondary, they bonded really well together. It was a really great thing.
Well, to piggyback on that, we pared the training down as well. We tried to do too much at first. Yeah. Go ahead, Dana. I stole your thunder.
That's what I was going to say as well. Last summer, we tried to jam-pack as much Canvas into a 2-day training as we could, and we went back and looked at all of the feedback from our participants, and we found that it was very overwhelming for them. So now for our training starting this summer of 2017, we have revised it, and the teacher feedback is phenomenal.
So that's what you revised. The other part of the question was also
What went well, we had a list of non-negotiable requirements. And I think that that was very, very helpful in weeding out. So I would recommend strongly that you get with your your IT department, your key stakeholders, and identify those key requirements that are non-negotiable, and that'll help you get rid of a lot of the, the stuff that's coming in that really is not going to satisfy your needs.
We had a question over here.
Oh,
one more
really
answer,
quick.
sorry.
Having the on-site support from Katie, Jeremy, and Michelle has been a game changer for us. And then the other thing that's been really good is having face-to-face training options for teachers. Some of our teachers are not comfortable learning something as big as Canvas online on their own. So having face-to-face options right as school got out, like the day after, all the way up until pre-planning.
We just want to ditto that because I don't think that Canvas really had on-ground support, and that was one of the things that Broward brought to their attention, that it was absolutely a necessity for Broward. That's the way we want to do business. We want to make sure that our people are right there with us, so we definitely ditto that.
OCPS, just one thing that I wish we would have done different was I think sometimes we underestimate how far-reaching Canvas's influence is on the entire district. So making sure that you really truly get all stakeholders involved from the get-go, right? So whether it's the support people who are going to be providing documentation and using Canvas to add training, to your finance department who is also deciding to train people on how to use the credit card. There's a lot more than just necessarily teaching and learning that may be involved, and so making sure you have all the stakeholders. That's one thing I wish we would have made sure we really did at the beginning.
I'm glad he posed that question because that was one of the questions I was going to ask, the go back in time thing. But I really wanted to say, as a nerdy teacher and as an instructional technologist for a long time, you guys are amazing yourselves. What you're doing, what you've accomplished. I mean, I think, honestly, I've taken 5 pages of notes because this is the session I needed to hear in these 2 days. If I could do this again, I would just have time with the group for like an hour just to ask a lot more questions. But the one question I did want to ask real quick was, your teachers are creating the courses. There's no canned content that they're using because we use, of course, FLVS content, and we've managed a virtual school for 8 years, but now we're just pushing that into our blended learning environment. And I'm just excited I wrote on a lot of tips and tricks. But the other question was that I would love to know, and you don't have to answer it, I'm going to give my cards out because I want to stay connected. But I'd love to know what LTI tools you used, because you and I just worked on Microsoft Office 365, and that was kind of a pain in the butt. I wish it would do more, but I would love to know what other tools you're using. And when you went to train at the school sites, were you training large groups, or did you say, hey, principal, give me your 10 nerdiest teachers that you know are going to do this, and we'll train those 10, and then let those 10 kind of grow that DNA at the school?
I was going to say, you might be able to find this group at the K-12 meet and greet at 5:30 if you want to talk more as well.
And we're very friendly, and we do like to talk. My boss asked me to mention the Pinnacle Integration, which for us, Pinnacle is our student information system, and that was a key selling point for our teachers, for them to be able to click a button and push the assignment and the grades over to Pinnacle without having to do double entry. That was, as soon as we showed them that, they were in love, and they could basically, they would tolerate anything else that we threw at them. So that was one of the integrations that we had. I know I could talk about lots more. We'll talk more.
Well, and that gentleman reminded me that I wanted to ask, what other, let's say, layers of support do you have for your teachers in the use of their LTI tools? Are the teachers, when they're creating their own courses, do you have, resource libraries for them? Do you have multimedia files? Do you have, can you describe that a little bit about where that happens?
One thing we also did this summer is we took our basic training and separated it out of some of our intermediate or advanced skills, and we have a whole class dedicated, a full day class just on LTIs. So that is one thing that we're doing. And who wanted to take?
Sorry, Katie, my bad. So one big resource that we provided to our teachers, and this was something that Canvas did for us, is templates. So we had they developed templates, Michelle actually, and we had our curriculum and instruction team sign off on those, and so those are in the comments, and we have them for secondary by subject area, and then we have some elementary templates as well. We have professional development templates, like everybody's got their own template. So that's a starting point for teachers so that they're not so overwhelmed with creating a course from scratch. That's a big thing. We have all of the help resources, so those videos that we talked about and how we have like the links to the specific things teachers talked about. Marcy has made some quick guides, I believe, we have some Canvas coaches. We have 6 that are going to be working on creating help guides. They'll be with us for 1 school year. Our resource teachers that work for us during the school year were actually Canvas consultants this summer, and they did our training for us. So they were actually employed by Canvas, but now we know that they can train it. So as we scale, they'll be able to support that. And one more awesome thing that Marcy's kind of in charge of is our virtual support sessions, which are basically webinars, and we have an entire rookie series on how to use Canvas.
And then we also have a digital support ticket that runs through, that teachers can put in when something goes wrong, because sometimes they'll put in a Canvas ticket and it's not really a Canvas issue, it's one of the tools that they're connecting to that's really the issue, and we can get to the bottom of that with Tier 1 and Tier 2 support. And then if it's bigger than that, then we can go back to the Canvas support on the larger level.
We went about that a little bit differently and pushed people to Canvas support initially, because they have been really great at identifying if it's a Broward problem or an LTI problem and then kicking those back to us. So we'd rather not deal with the phone calls and emails if we don't have to.
Yeah, and on our ticket it says, if it's this, go here first.
Yep.
Go here second. And so it filters out as many to us as possible because we're only a small team.
You mentioned a poster that you made. Where could we find that if we wanted to adapt something locally?
At Digital OCPS. And Broward is at BCPS Innovates.
Any other questions?
I got a poster. I'll tweet out our poster too. I'll send you the EPS file, not a problem. I'm at Dominic Church.
Do you have contact information if we can email you or something to put up?
We're not just on Twitter. You can check our email. Yes, we can share that. I have cards.
We can also add a slide on and edit it if you want to escape. I'll come do
that. So I hope I'm not taking time away. Did anybody else? I have a question for the entire group. I manage Canvas Network. Instructure's open online course platform where people can come all over the world and sign up for courses. I'm feeling an idea. I'd like to see if we can host courses on Canvas Network by institutions such as yourself that have had experience going through the purchasing process for K-12 LMSs, the why, the how, the implementation, and the adoption. If we created courses on Canvas Network, is this a resource that would be of value while you are in this search process?
I see a lot of nods. Other
Hey,
questions?
OCPS, what's your website?
So Rachel, I just wanted to mention another
big win for us was our professional development department in the back of the room. Another big win, right? Because, you know, in thinking about what would you do differently or what went really well, honestly, when our PDSS team got on board and said all of our professional development for teachers is now going to be delivered via Canvas, that was a big deal. And they deserve a round of applause because that really helped us to introduce Canvas. Teachers were first students, a lot of them, and they realized the potential through the PDSS movement, and now they're like, well, how can I use this in my classroom? So that was a big win for us, so thanks, guys.
We have definitely taken more time than we were allotted, so I just want to remind everyone that you can talk more with us at the K-12 meet and greet. I hope somebody in this room knows where it's at. Yes. Say that again? Learning Station. I am the worst person to find things. Warren Station. Okay. Look at your schedules. Find the K-12 meet and greet, and hopefully we'll chat more with some of you here today. Have a great evening. Thank you.